Hello again everyone, it's me Johnny. I want to thank you for checking out my channel, and today I want to talk to you about what I wish I had known before my cancer diagnosis. And I'm just going to jump right into it. On my initial diagnosis, when I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer back in 2010, I didn't know that I was going to be baptized or immersed into a system that I really didn't understand, didn't have no clue what I was getting myself into, wasn't prepared for it. You hear the word cancer and you just want to get it out of you. That was my initial response. And I trusted the guy in the white jacket like he was my messiah, like he was the one that was really going to save me. What I wish I would have known was that everything that he was telling me, for the most part, wasn't really true. For me, it was misleading, and I trusted him. And what I really wish I had known was about this pyramid. And the pyramid goes like this. You have Big Pharma on the top, you have your insurance company on one side, and you have your doctors on the other side. And in this pyramid, you're stuck in the middle. And it was up to me to figure it out and ask questions. And you're just getting rushed through the system because you hear the word cancer and they offer you surgery or radiation, whatever it is, to get rid of it. And in my case, it wasn't necessarily true, because at the same time I had thyroid cancer, I also had non-Hodgkins lymphoma. And what I like to teach people, or when I do coach people or help people out, I tell them, don't focus on the cancer, focus on letting your body heal. Focusing on the cancer, that's your doctor's job. Your job, for the most part, your job is learning how to let your body heal. And getting stuck in the pyramid is that you have to understand something. It's driven by money, by profit, not by your health. It shouldn't be called health care, it should be called sick care, because there's not a healthy person in one of those beds. These are the things that I've learned going through the system, where I was given tests that I really didn't need. Why? Because I had insurance. There, I got tested here, got tested here, got tested here, just got bounced around and didn't get the answers that I was looking for. When I got diagnosed in 2014 with lymphoma, because I knew something was wrong, something wasn't right, my doctor kept on telling me, when you're seeing a specialist, in my opinion, all he was looking for, my endocrinologist, was here. That's all he was worried about. And he wasn't looking at how it affected the rest of my body. Because your body's supposed to flow like a symphony. Your body works like a symphony, and you're the conductor. You're the one that's orchestrating your life. And what's the song you have to ask yourself that you're singing to the universe? Is it doubt and unbelief? Because remember, you're wired to love. All right? These are things, once you get caught in that pyramid, you're going to have to learn to navigate. And the one thing that caught me and taught me was that when I went up to pick up my own medical records, and I picked them up and I read them. I didn't know how to read them. I had to learn how to read them. And I had a nurse friend of mine that sat down with me and showed me everything I was looking for. But all she did was went to the results and says, this is what's going on in your body right now. I said, forget about the rest of the stuff. You need to know here, what's going on here. And she showed me how big, the tumors were, and we got a little ruler out, and she showed me all this other stuff, step by step. I was like, wow, what a blessing. That I had somebody on my side, on my team. Building a team is important. And from there, what caught me was was another doctor's name on my report. That wasn't my primary care physician, and it wasn't the doctor that I was dealing with the thyroid cancer with. It was somebody else. When I realized that my endocrinologist at the time, or my primary care physician, when you take a PET scan and you get the results, I thought, in my case, my doctor did everything. I thought that, like I said, I thought he was my messiah. I thought he was going to save me. And rude awakening when I seen another doctor's name that had to sign off on the report. And what it is, the steps, I'm going to speak for me, is how things went down with me. From my primary care physician, he referred me because of a lump on my neck to endocrinologist. From the endocrinologist, he ordered, because of my insurance, okay, it's a game of insurance now, he referred me to to get a scan. Once I got the scan done, because of insurance, he can sign off on it. And in my case, the way my insurance works, at least it happened to me, is once I'm under the care of an oncologist, my primary care physician can't order another PET scan. Everything has to run through my oncologist, which sucks. That means I'm paying him, a copay, and I'm also paying my primary care physician a copay, and I'm still not getting healthy. And it's money. So I'm going from my primary care physician to an endocrinologist, and it's money, 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 and it's like a round robin if you don't know what you're doing inside that pyramid and you're getting bounced around. That's why I tell people, pick up your medical records. When I picked up my medical records and I saw that other name, I realized that my doctor didn't have all the power I thought he had. I realized it was somebody else. He was reading the same report that I was reading, and it gave me an edge. I started to break down how the system worked and learn how to play the game. So during that time between 2010 and 2014, I kept on having pain, and I was getting bounced around from doctor to doctor without no answers. I was getting blood taken. All these tests. Why? Because I had insurance. Okay, and they look up your insurance, he can take this test, this test. That's what happened to me. I was getting so many tests, it was ridiculous. And then finally, when I got diagnosed, I finally told my doctor, my primary care physician, because he would send me here, he would send me here, he would send me here, he would send me here. I got tired. I said, man, I don't know how much money I wasted without getting any answers. Because you're stuck in that pyramid, you have to educate yourself. Gaining your medical records is a change. You spin it, because it tells you right there everything's going on, what's going on in your body, and you can learn to build a team around it. You can learn to educate yourself, not on the cancer. That's not really your issue. That's your doctor's issue, how he wants to do it. Your issue is figuring out how your body heals. At least that's the way I look at it. All right. I'm not going to have to see an oncologist unless I'm going to take chemotherapy or radiation, and they're great at what they do. But in my case, I didn't go that route. And so when I learned there was 3 different doctors, and both doctors, my primary care physician and my endocrinologist, pulled up the same report that I went down and picked up days in advance. It prepared me. When I went for my consultation, when I went for the appointment, I realized my endocrinologist really didn't have any power, and at this time, this happened after I had the surgery, after I had this, because they do one scan before, and then they do one scan after. He ordered one scan after, and it's coincidental that my insurance, I think, allowed one scan every 6 months, and they worked it out so perfectly. They'll get paid for the 2 scans. Meanwhile, I'm not getting healthy. All right, and when I realized that, later on, he wanted to run more tests on me, and I kept on telling him, and I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's when I bounced around, and I've learned. When I started to study, and I heard about functional medicine, is what I needed was really a functional medicine doctor. Because a regular doctor, an MD, is a medical doctor. He studies medicine. My body's not created in medicine. Okay, an oncologist studies oncologist, great for what he does, right? He knows chemotherapy, he knows radiation, he knows the steroids and everything else that you need, that he has to apply for you. I guess it's based on body weight, whatever it is. I didn't venture out into that. But no one in the history of the world is deficient in chemotherapy or radiation. Not one person. All right? So when I started studying functional medicine, I was just like, this is the doctor I need. And I had a functional medicine doctor. I found one. And a functional medicine, real quick, doctor. Functional medicine doctor, real quick, is the doctor that's going to look at your whole body. Remember when I said that your body works like a symphony and you're the conductor? All right, what's the song you're playing in the universe? One negative thought can suppress the immune system. And then you add some soda on top of that. You add some liquor on top of that. You add some junk food or processed foods, refined sugars on top of that. Yeah, your microbiome is all messed up. Your body works like an is an ecosystem, or it has its own ecosystem. And when you start flooding yourself with all these toxins, you're going to get sick. Eventually, it'll catch up with you. In my case, that's what happened with me. So the functional medicine doctor, when I went to see him, he gave me a report or an application like this to fill out. He wanted to know everything about my life. He wanted to know my spiritual beliefs, whether my mother and father, what they die of, whether they were married or divorced, was there violence in the home, was I abused as a child, how many fillings did I have in my mouth, was I happy with my job, was I happy among my relationships, did I have anybody that died near me, or do I get depressed, am I sad? All these things he asked. Why? Because he's looking at how the body functions. A specialist like I had, an endocrinologist, he's just looking at the thyroid, forgetting that my body works like a symphony. And that's why a functional medicine doctor, for me, in my case, I can only speak from experience, worked best for me. And he didn't even look at the disease. All my functional medicine did, he's read my report, he looked at it, looked at one PET scan, looked at the other, pushed it to the side. He says, you did all this by yourself? I said, yes. He says, wow. He says, you're going to be okay. Why? Because I was doing the work. I was educating myself. The more educated you are, the better decisions you're going to be able to make. Right? Whether you do chemotherapy and radiation, whether you do naturopath medicine, whether you do an integrative approach, it's up to you. These are things I wish I had known prior to my them taking out my thyroid. I should have got a hold of a functional medicine doctor, but I didn't know it. You know, the next thing I wish I had known before they took away my thyroid was that there's a test called out there, a SpectraCell test. Well, I use it's by SpectraCell or SpectraCell Labs. And it's a micronutrients test. And what this test does is, because you're not deficient in chemotherapy or radiation or any medicine, any main medicine, I believe you're deficient in nutrition, because your body's a temple. Your body regenerates itself constantly by the food you eat, by the way you think, all right, the things you let in your eye gate and ear gate. All these things function together because you're supposed to function harmoniously. All your organs, your liver with your kidneys, your stomach, your lower intestine, your upper intestine, all your heart, your lungs, everything is to flow like a symphony in the universe. And so when I found out about the SpectraCell test, it let me know everything my body was deficient in. I wasn't deficient in medicine. I was deficient in nutrition. I was depressed. I was upset. There was things in my life that I really wasn't happy about, and I had nobody to blame but myself, because I made the decisions. And once you start accepting responsibility for the decisions you make, healing can begin. You can release it and let your body start healing little by little. The third thing I wish I had known, or I didn't have to go through it, but I prepared myself for it, just in case I was going to take chemotherapy or something happened where naturopath medicine didn't work for me. And that's good when you have a team, that there's a certain line that you have to draw in the sand that says, this thing isn't working for me. Maybe I do need chemotherapy or radiation. And one test that I suggest, or I would look into, was a chemosensitivity test. And real brief, just type this stuff out online. A chemosensitivity test is a test that's performed where they look at your blood, or look at, basically it'll let you know what chemotherapy works with what type of cancer that you have. And there's videos out on YouTube. You can go Google this, what I'm telling you. It's called a chemosensitivity test. And it's out there. Just educate yourself. If you're thinking about taking chemotherapy or radiation, that's your decision. I have no problem with that. That's you got to do what you have to do. And the third thing out there that I educated myself on was, it's called IPT protocol. And what that is also known as low-dose chemotherapy. If there was any chemotherapy that I was going to take, it would have been low-dose chemotherapy. And what that is that where they, real quick, you can look this up online on YouTube. It's called the IPT protocol. You can look it up on Google. It's all out there. And what it is, it's been around since I think around the 30s or mid-30s. It's like nothing new. And why haven't we heard about this? I don't know. But what it is that they starve the body of glucose because cancer cells have more insulin receptors than normal cells. So when they say that people say sugar feed cancer, the way I look at it is refined sugars, okay, feed cancer. I didn't get cancer from eating fruit or natural fruit, the whole fruit, all right, the way the Creator's given it to us, all right. And plus, I ate a lot of refined sugars from sodas, lattes, you name it. I mean, I was a junkie. I was hooked on it, like a lot of other people are. So what I had to do was, once I started learning about and educating myself about nutrition, the ball game changed for me. Not overnight, little by little, I kept on educating myself. And what the IPT test does, IPT protocol, low dose chemotherapy, is that once they starve the body of glucose, they inject insulin. And as a chaser behind it, they inject, I think it's like 10% of the chemotherapy. So while the cancer cells are open up and they're feeding off the insulin, right behind it comes the chemotherapy. And you're only using like 10%, and the side effects are minimal, you know. And it's something you really want to look into, something I looked into, and I educated myself. If I did have to take chemotherapy, I would use an integrative approach, and I would find a doctor that did IPT protocol. That's the way I come and look at it. And I just want to express yourself. There's a different mentality when you look at it, going through the cancer industry, between fighting cancer, like the fight is on. Your body's been fighting cancer all your life. If it's true what they say that everybody has cancer cells, then you've been fighting cancer all your life. It should be nothing new to you. It's just this abnormality where the cancer cells don't die. And so they stay alive longer than they have to, and hence you get pain or whatever has happened to you. They take you get a scan, and you find out that you're diagnosed with stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 cancers. It all depends. Everybody's different. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. There's not one fit that's going to fit for everybody, the way I believe. And the difference between fighting cancer and healing from cancer is, when you're fighting cancer, you're under stress, your cortisol levels when you're fighting. Okay, you get into a fist fight, you get into a fight or something like that, you're stressed out about, your cortisol levels are going through the roof, and you're under this stress and strain, and you know, you don't know if you're going to win the fight and everything. That's not the way to think about it. At least I don't. I'm not fighting cancer. I'm letting my body heal from cancer. Healing's different. Healing's when you're relaxed and you learn, you educate yourself so you can make better decisions. And you're relaxed about it. You're going for walks, long walks with people that you love and that love you and that care about you. You're reconnecting from self, because somewhere there's a disconnect. And these are some of the things that I've learned or wish I had known, you know, some of them. And I educated myself, prepared myself after the thyroid cancer diagnosis. And one thing I can say is that you have to understand something, that the difference between, I use an analogy, difference between the Olympic Games and the cancer games. In the Olympic Games, you win medals for first place, second place, and third place. You have all the accolades. And what I admire about Olympic athletes is that they train for years for a 10-second race or a 50-second race, whatever it is. Or they may swim for a minute race, who knows what it is, or a floor exercise. But they train year in and year out, over and over and over again, to be the best in the world. At the cancer games, there's no medal for second place. It's either going to do it or you're going to go home. That's the sad part about it. And you have to train, the way I looked at it, you have to train like an athlete. Whether you're going to go chemotherapy or radiation, whether you're going to go naturopath, I look at it as spirit, soul, and body healing, the full person, on how everything functions together in harmony. And you want to get back into harmony with self. I want to thank you guys for listening to this. God bless you guys. And remember, you're alive, but are you really living the life that you want to live? Are you just settling? Are you just going through the motions, feeling frustrated? The answer is within you. Everything you need to do to win is already inside you. You have to tap into the gifts that are inside you. Turn off the chatter and tap into and listen to that still small voice for guidance. God bless you. Take care.